Dolores Cannon, the fears we don't face become our limits. Me, I've just seen this meme going around, so I thought it'd make a great discussion. Fear gives your power away, and when you give your power away, you can't develop your multi-dimensional gifts. Ivo, of course, my love, this is the entire point of being alive on Earth right now, that of facing one's fears and exiting the matrix. Because it is the matrix lifestyle that prompts you to create these fears. That keeps your frequency down and allows you to remain stuck in the system that oppresses humanity. Light workers are fighting the matrix, learning how to deal with the various facets of oppression. At all levels. Government, industry, banking, and at the personal level. People are taking their lives back. Fear is an unreality. In a universe of love, fear is non-existent. However, the human is capable of believing that they fear and acting as if they do, when in fact they are creating an illusory effect within themselves. Me, sure feels real. Ivo, it does. You are excellent creators. The body will even respond. Yes, there is fear that allows one to remain alive. If a truck is coming down the road and you are crossing, you will most likely get out of the way, but is this fear or is this self-love? Think about this for a moment. The fear you feel is the adrenaline response within you, but is this an act of fear or an act of love? Me, Can we show some examples of how fears not faced become limits? Ivo, we can. You, for example, have a fear of predatory men. So you attract them. Your neighbor came back the other night, one night after you feared he might, and then the man who used to live in your apartment was back checking the mailbox. This fear limits you to deal with these men. You fear them, and in fearing men, the good ones can be discarded along with the bad ones. Me, I can usually feel the difference between a benevolent man and one who is predatory, although some of them are good at hiding that energy. Ivo, yes. And so one thing you must learn to do is to rely more upon your senses. You can sense out people very readily, but you do not always do it, preferring just to rely upon intellect, which fails you. So you might conclude that you have a fear of relying upon your senses. And so this limits you as well. Anywhere where you find that you are avoidant, is you being in fear. What do you avoid? Me, contact with controlling people. I can't stand dealing with them. Ivo, so this limits you as well. Me, that's one I accept. Ivo, however, fearing dealing with them will continue to attract them to you. Me, yes, Christmas is coming. My family will try to contact me again. Ivo, and how will you deal with it? Me, I don't care about getting a card. Merry Christmas is fine, although I'm swinging more to paganism anyway. I don't know about my brother. And then nobody else bothers to even send me a card, so I don't have to worry about my 7 nieces and nephews. They think I'm some old granny they don't have any time for. Boy, are they ever wrong. They have no idea what I'm about and how I'm here to change the world. Ivo, what I might suggest to you around this issue of attracting controlling people is to envision a life without that sort of person in it. You are a wonderful creator, so create the reality you want. You have done this already and eliminated all the trolls from your timeline. Me, yeah, true. I did. Good idea. Yes, commanding your space. Ivo, now there are people who fear the COVID virus, although upon looking at the newspaper, the headlines surrounding it are nothing but ridiculous. They fear the virus, and this limits them to not being able to breathe properly and not being able to socialize and conduct everyday activities in the same way. Me, yes, I read that JB is saying that there is a new surge of COVID in the States again, just as the election results were coming into question. They're so obvious. I know people who believe in this virus and there is a virus, but it's the fact that it was unleashed on the people, and the fact that it's being used as a political agenda is what annoys me. Ivo, do you fear the virus? Me, no, I don't even fear death. Ivo, and this is another fear that is so common, the fear of death. What happens after death is life. There is no such thing as death, only a transition of states. Me, yup. I talk to dead people all the time. They're not dead. I don't think I'd want to die a horrible death, or have it take a long time. I just would like to transition quickly. Ivo, and so you will make that choice. Me, what are some other common fears? Fear of being alone. That's a big one for a lot of people. I used to be that way. Fear of being unloved. Fact is, when you love yourself, it doesn't matter. But when you love yourself, you attract all kinds of people to you. Fear of not having enough. I don't know, but I'm all for the idea of giving and sharing with others. If they don't have enough, you help them out. Charity is a big one for me. If we just redistributed our wealth and assets, you wouldn't have to watch people go hungry and live on the street. But some people aren't at that point yet. They hoard their wealth because they fear going without, or they use it to show off their affluence. It's because they follow Matrix law, and the Matrix tells you there isn't enough to go around. Universal law doesn't. It knows that life is abundant. Ivo, so you see that as you grow in your multidimensionality, as you access more of your soul, you harbor less fear. Why is that? Because your soul is love, you are love, and the heart of one who is loving hates to see others go without. It is the personality that fears. Me, so how about being limited by these fears? Ivo, the one who hoards their wealth is limited in their generosity. Generosity is shown only to oneself and family members, and the reason for this is out of a fear of not having enough, or a fear of not appearing to be affluent in society. Me, how does fear of death limit you in life? Ivo, there are many who will not fly. There are many who will not carry out many activities in life that could be expansive for them, because they fear a premature death. Some people refuse to drive. You have met several women with the fear of driving who either drove reluctantly or who refused to get a driver's license. This is severely curtailing and also makes for dependency on others. Me, which isn't always a bad thing, but it could stop you from getting a job maybe. What about the fear of being alone? Ivo, you do not have that fear. If anything, you fear being with others. Me, being sick and tired of the fact that they have little to offer me, or the fact I always have to talk about things that don't interest me, and now the fact that I have to talk to others about things that I have alternative views on. I can't even have a conversation about politics now because of my extreme views. So it's kind of killed socializing with people who are unaware, because I have to stifle myself or put up with their defense systems as I try to explain the truth to them. And I don't like people walling up with a wall of denial when I try to talk to them. Like my niece saying there's nobody in this world to be afraid of. The reason she says this is because she knows she's lying to herself. And frankly, that still makes me crazy. So I don't bother talking to these people anymore. I'm tired of having walls put up and doors slammed in my face. The other thing is, I can talk about things I've learned that others aren't interested in or don't know anything about. Like maybe World War II airplanes. I even know about that, and the Battle of Midway and the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Who wants to talk about that? Nobody. My interests are spirituality. Most people are religious or not religious, but they're not spiritual. I have nothing in common with anyone, and I'm tired of trying to find things to discuss with them. I'd just rather not. Ivo, perhaps she does not believe in fear. Me, if she saw a 25-foot-tall draconian standing before her, she'd be afraid. Anyone would. Ivo, point taken. And that is what you are referring to. People are often afraid of the extraterrestrials they see. Yes, and then the person who fears being alone will be with other people, whether it is for their own good or not. Me, people who fear being alone are codependents. The reason I say this is because they have no self-concept without another person to relate to them who they are. Codependents see themselves through the eyes of other people, so they can't be alone. Because I guess if they're alone, they probably don't exist for themselves. They must develop an opinion of themselves, preferably a positive one. Ivo, exactly. For the codependent, it is important to spend time alone and begin to understand the self, rather than how they relate to others. I remember one 12-step friend I had. On one of the first times we went out together, he said, "Okay, you've told me all about your family. Now how about you?" That really hit home for me. And I realized he was right. Had I not been so codependent earlier in life, I would have started to do this work earlier. Ivo, correct. In your society, many people do not even feel they have the right to be themselves. These are the codependents. They see themselves through others' eyes, or how they believe others perceive them. If you have this problem, go to Codependence Anonymous. And find a good, strong meeting. Don't stop until you do. They have websites on the internet with a list of meeting places and times. It's really worth it. Ivo, this meme is correct. Dolores Cannon is correct. You can become jailed in your own cage if you allow your fears to run your life. They must be broken through. Thank you, Ivo. Ivo, my love, it is good work that you do. How'd I get that scratch on the back of my ankle, Ivo? I keep waking up with scratches, and if I'd had a scratch I would have put a band-aid on it. Ivo, you are still fighting in the astral and the bases, my love. You get scratches as you get into skirmishes with reptilians. I thought so. I don't remember getting that scratch. Of course I'd remember it if it had happened when I was awake.